It's so funny how everyone in town walks the streets and they shout, but nobody seems to hear it. I see the people with a dream getting gunned down in the street for fighting for their right to be conscientious. It's easy to divide, but they'd really run and hide if we could move together as one. It's funny, ain't it? The people in the burbs say they'll get what they deserve when we all deserve a chance at happiness. But what's so funny about what's tragic? I can't laugh about what's wrong. What's so stupid about knowledge? I don't want you to explain. I just want this to change. Oh, how dare you sing about your dreams when your thoughts are obscene and nobody understands you. Well, here's one, the people on TV who forgot how to be owned by a rapist and Mickey Mouse. But what's so funny about what's tragic? I can't laugh about what's wrong. What's so stupid about knowledge? I don't want you to explain. I just want this to change. I can't help but feel I don't belong here with you, but I just gotta tell you, I'm only trying to help you to love one as yourself. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, this is Jimmy Jive, and you're listening to Motor City Rock Talk. Today, my guest is a lead vocalist slash guitarist for a band I discovered recently, and I'm glad I did because they're just fantastic. A term I would use from the old school would be killer. Just really killer band. They've got one album that came out self-titled in 2020. They got a couple singles I believe they've done since then, and we'll get talking about that as we go along. Anyway, my guest today is Mr. Tyler Chernoff. How you doing, Tyler?
Good, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great, man. Anyway, let's start with a little background. Tell me a little bit about where you're from initially and what kind of music, got you into, deciding to be a guitarist, a singer, and, getting into the rock and roll business.
Sure, yeah, so I come from the Metro Detroit area. I have one of those older fathers. He's about 40 when he had me, so I grew up on a lot of Beatles music and a lot of 60s, British invasion stuff and classic rock and Led Led Zeppelin, and then when I got a little older, I found Metallica and Black Sabbath and Rage Against the Machine and the whole grunge thing with Alice in Chains. But when I was little, anyway, that's where there's a picture of me, I think, as a toddler holding his guitar. It's bigger than me. I always wanted to be John Lennon, and now I just want to be myself. But I want to be a musician. That's what I always wanted to do ever since I could talk. So it's just been my whole life, basically.
Was there any specific guitar players that influenced you growing up, or just listening to those bands?
I can remember Jimi Hendrix being pretty big for me, and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Still, I'm mostly a rhythm player, so when I do have to solo, it's mostly me ripping those guys off. Not a virtuoso at any of the instruments that I play. I did go ahead and learned, from a young age, I wanted to be able to play everything. So I can play drums, I can play piano, I can play guitar, bass, harmonica, what have you.
It's good to have a background in all that, especially when it comes to songwriting. It helps, I'm sure it helps as far as that.
It's nice not having to worry. If I do have to play a solo, for me, I have to compose one. I'm not the best at ripping off fly.
Improvising, yeah.
I can improvise. I can do a little bit, but I can't. I have a very sort of limited lead knowledge. I'm pretty good with theory and all that, but I don't. My fingers aren't fast enough.
Well, the other guitarist in the band, he's fantastic. Like I said, that debut album of yours, it just blew me away. Let's get into the band a little bit then.
Sure.
The music that you guys play, is the band in any way, I mean, it's obviously original material, and I know you do some covers also, but it seems to me that you're drawing in from a lot of different styles as far as that. You mentioned, coming up with Hendrix a little bit and the blues thing, but it's a lot more rock than that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't remind me of the new rock out there, and it's not alternative, it's not punk. How would you classify, if you had to, the type of music your band plays?
Yeah, it's classic rock based, classic maybe even classic heavy metal, with just modern finesse,
Right.
because we have the access to all these different things through the internet and whatnot, and all of us have come from different backgrounds. Like our bass player Dave was a pop punk guy, or not a pop punk guy, he was a punk guy. Jordan was a pop punk kid coming up in the scene, and me and him bonded over Stevie Ray Vaughan too. And Aaron was a metal punk guy growing up, but they also have a bunch of different stuff that, like Dave, our bass player, was also in a bluegrass band at one point where he joined us. So we've all gotten to do many different things. We call on all that knowledge, but we shove it into the slot of hard rock, so it comes out sounding different.
Yeah, because I don't really hear any punk in your music. That's interesting. There's nothing, to me anyway, that sounds punk. And I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean, to me, it seems a bit above that. Matter of fact, some of the stuff even sounds borderline prog rock.
I would say the punk is more so an attitude. You mentioned the first record. We actually have another record coming out August 15th. There's a couple like 2.5 minute songs on there that are they're fast, they're in your face, and then it's done. And there's a couple of songs that are really expansive, sort of proggy sort of things. And then there's a couple that are just straight up good rock and roll songs.
On Spotify, there's a couple of songs on there besides that album. Are those songs going to be on this new album? Or
no, it'll be 7 brand new songs that have not yet been released. We played them live a bit, but they have not yet been released officially on anything until this August.
And when did you say that date was? When's the actual release date on that?
August 15th. Oh. It's funny you mention it, because today after we get off the phone, I'm going to drive out and we're all going to shoot the album cover today.
Yeah, was this going to be a band photo type thing, or getting artsy like the first one?
We're going to do an actual photo this time. The first one was actually a collage sort of piece that Aaron, our drummer, and his friend Dom made in Photoshop. So they pulled that tower on the front from some Russian lighthouse, and then they found that rainbow eclipse thing. And, a lot of our artwork since then has been a collaboration between typically Aaron and I on Photoshop. We like that sort of collage art. You take a bunch of different already existing images and make it a new thing.
Very cool cover. It's very cool. It stands out against some of the other band's covers that I've seen. Speaking of the band, where is the band itself out of? I mean, are you east side, west side? Where is the band from?
Well, we operate currently out of Allen Park, Michigan, so it's a little bit south of Detroit.
Okay, downriver then.
Downriver, yeah.
Okay. Now, you guys all live down that area then, too? Are you in the same areas, or?
We used to live all close together, but, you get older, you have wives
Sure.
and kids. I'm currently up in Royal Oak. I think Aaron's over in Sterling Heights So, it's anywhere from a 30-minute drive to practice, but it's never been something we all couldn't handle at any point in time. I used to live up in the east side of Chesterfield, and I used to have to drive like an hour down there.
Yeah, that's a ways.
I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore.
And I imagine you guys probably all have day jobs too, because I know playing the bar scene doesn't make a lot of money.
Yeah, no, we all work and we all have families that we got to support. So sometimes we're burning the candle at both ends, but it's all worth it in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, as long as you dig what you're doing. Speaking of the first album, where was that recorded at? What studio did you use?
Yeah, that was recorded at a place called the Sound Shop up in Chesterfield. Actually, it was by where I used to live. It was recorded by a guy named Kevin Williams. We were actually a three-piece at that time. We hadn't gotten Dave in the band yet. I was playing bass live. So I did do the rhythm guitar on that record, but I did the rhythm guitar and the bass on that, and then Jordan did his guitar and Aaron played drums. But that was back when we were a three-piece.
Now, was there any keyboards on that? It sounds like there's like some keyboards, or is that all done with the guitar?
I did a piano intro for Not Alone, and then we had this woman, Jen is her name, she's a singer in another band that is friends with that studio, came in and played the piano through the song I Failed You at the end with the strings on it. She did the really nice piano part, which she just came up with on the spot too. She's I think she's a classically trained pianist or something.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Very solid album, like I said, really tight. Who wrote the songs? Did you guys co-write them, or did you write the songs yourself? How did that work out?
Me and Jordan were part of another band before it became Edison Hollow. Edison Hollow was kind of born out of this band called Red Baron, which was me and Jordan and two other cats. Well, they both quit at the same time on us while we were writing all these songs. So me and Jordan had already had Not Alone, Coming For You, Mr. Wolfheart, Road Song, and I think I Failed You was getting written. And then we got Aaron on board, and I believe he might remember it better. But I believe we kind of wrote Circle of Madness, Pull the Plug was already written as well. So Circle of Madness and Help, I'm fairly certain were like new songs that we came to the studio with.
But I mean, did anybody specifically write them and you guys worked them out in the studio, or is it something that was a collaborative thing?
I mean, I could go song by song and tell you who wrote what riff, but ultimately they all kind of become collaborative once you bring them to the rehearsal space and show the guys. It's like, hey, I got this idea, or there's been times I'll bring a full song in. I think Mr. Wolfheart, Jordan wrote all the music before he showed it to us, and a song like Not Alone, I wrote the entire thing before I brought it in. That happens, especially these days. We really I don't like to get too attached to something before I show it to the guys anymore. It can become something way better, but if I become attached to it, then I get my feelings all hurt if they don't like it. I try to just bring in the riff, and I'm like, this is the vibe, where are we going with it? And we all kind of knock our heads around trying to make a song out of it.
Is it the same as far as the lyrics, or does somebody specifically write lyrics?
I've always written all the lyrics up until this new record. This new record was the first time I sort of opened the floor on that. I watched that Get Back documentary, the Peter Jack Beatles thing, and I just thought it was really cool. Paul sitting at the piano writing Long and Winding Road, and Ringo's sitting next to him contributing lyrics to it. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? We can do that. So there's a new song on the album called Sin of My Love. We wrote all that music together, and Sin of My Love is a title I had a long time ago. And Aaron goes, well, that should be called The Sin of My Love. So then I just came in with one line, and I was just like, what comes next? And Aaron had contributed a couple lines to it. I think Jordan might have contributed a line to it. And then there's another song called Shadow of Your Life, which was the first time I've ever collaborated completely with somebody on lyrics. Me and Aaron wrote pretty much that whole song together. I'd send him a verse, and then he'd send me a verse, and then we kind of shape it, take lines from each other's stuff, and make it one solid thing. That was the first time I'd ever done something like that, and I think it came out pretty well, so I'm hoping in the future we can do more of that. I take a lot of pride in the lyrics, so, I'm still going to probably write most of them. I did enjoy that process a lot, and I think it came out really well. At least on that, like the record you heard, I wrote pretty much every word on that, and a lot of the singles too. But I'd like to open that up in the future.
From what I take from seeing the videos of you guys are all pretty young. Are you in your 20s, early 30s?
I'm 27. I think Jordan's going to be 31. Aaron's 30. Dave's the old man. I believe he's 39 or so now.
Did you have any kind of, as far as it comes to lyric writing, did you have any background, let's say in high school, as far as artistic writing? Do you take any of your ideas, from prose or poetry, or you just write songs based on like experiences? Where do you get your ideas for like the lyrics?
Well, I always liked writing. I remember in school, like in elementary school even, we had these assignments where they give you your vocabulary list, and you had to make a story out of it. And I used to love doing that because it was like, that was a framework I could work within. Like, I need to use these words, and I need to fit them into a story. And I actually always made them funny stories. I thought I wanted to be a comedian as I got older and life got harder. I don't find so many things so funny anymore. But no, for me, it was just always practice and practicing and doing it, because there's some lyrics even still on that first record. I wrote the lyrics on that first record when I was probably 19 or 20. I cringe at some of them now because I wouldn't write anything like that now.
Why is that? I mean, I think they're extremely well thought of, especially for somebody that young. What about it makes you cringe?
I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. It's just I think it's an artist thing. You just want to get better at it, and you look back at your own stuff sometimes, and you're like, yeah, I wouldn't do it that way now. You know, it's nice to hear that someone, you know, especially someone who's been around a while, such as yourself, as you say, thinks it still has legs. That is nice to hear. I don't know where it comes from, though. I always loved, like, Bob Dylan, the kinds of, you know, those sort of 60s poet guys.
Yeah, he was a real wordsmith.
If I could, then you tell me I'm not. Can't teach you, cannot reach you. If I could, then I know who you are. Enticing, redlining, inside the end of the world. End of the world. They told me to pray. God's not there.
Now, As for the new album, then, if you're saying you look back on the first one and some of it makes you kind of cringe, did you take a different approach on the new album as far as the lyrics, as far as that? You know, are you trying to keep them more straight ahead, or how does that change as far as that, if any?
For me, it did. It's been 5 years, and I've had a lot of life experience since then, too. You know, I was a child
Right.
whenever that first record. You know, there's some topics in terms of substance abuse or relationship stuff sort of coming up through that, or just sort of disenfranchisement with the world. You know, there's just more, it's more mature. Well, I don't want to say more mature. I think the first record's still mature, but I think I am able to get a depth now because I have a better understanding of the world than I did then. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and 5 years from now, I'll probably look back at this record and not, hopefully. I mean, that's kind of my, if I don't look back at my old stuff and think I could have done it better, you know, then I don't think I'm progressing. So I hope in 5 years I can look back at this record and go, I could have done that, I could have done that.
I totally understand it because artists are always more critical of their own stuff than anybody else. Public,
Yeah.
they could all say, wow, you're the next John Lennon, you're a genius. But as an artist, like you say, you're constantly wanting to grow, mature in your writing and your songwriting. So yeah, you may never be happy with it. I totally get that. Okay.
And also learning how to sort of weave the music in with the lyrics. You know, if the music takes a dark turn, then the lyrics take a dark turn. They're not just staying on the same track they were on.
Right. Now, on the new record, you mentioned there was a little piano on the first one. Is there going to be any keyboards on the new record?
No. So this record we recorded at a place called the Temper Mill in Ferndale, also right by my house, which was nice for me again. So we wanted to do everything live off the floor this time. Well, most of everything. So the basic sort of tracks, you know, the drums, bass, my main guitar and Jordan's main guitar were all live tracks. You know, like in this thing, we all played them together at the same time. We didn't use a click. We did some overdubs. We overdubed all the vocals, obviously. But there's not a lot of crazy guitar stuff overdub-wise. There's not any piano. It's pretty much straight up how the stuff would sound if you came and saw us live with just a little, you know, just enhanced a little bit.
Was that the purpose of it? You wanted to make it as straight ahead because you wanted to be able to reproduce it live? Was that the idea?
No, we wanted it felt like every time we've recorded before, it just doesn't quite sound like us live. We didn't do it that way so that we could play it live. We did it that way because we wanted to sound like we do live. Because we always hold that we're sort of a live band versus a studio band. You know, there's something, you know, like a band like Led Zeppelin always sounded better in the studio than they did live.
Right.
Some bands like Metallica, I think, sounds better live than they ever have in a studio. So
it can be really tough, you know, to get that energy, to get that feel. That comes down to a good producer. And I think if you're at the Temper Mill, I mean, nothing against the studio you did the first album on, because I think it was a great album. But I know Dave Feeney in that studio, which has been around eons, seemed to have a good grasp on the band that they have recorded in there.
Yeah, he mastered it. We actually recorded it, and it was mixed by a fella named Eric Malechnik, who works there. It was honestly the nicest sort of experience I think we've all had recording thus far, because it was just, he can be very stern about stuff he believes in, which is kind of what we needed, because there's four of us, so it always comes, two of us want one thing and two of us want the other. When we needed a fifth guy, he was there for that, or he was very supportive.
Yeah, and you got to trust those people, you know, with your stuff, because otherwise, the four, you could be in there mixing a record for, you know, years and years, because, oh, I need more of this, I need more of that, blah, blah, blah. It can be really tough and straining on a band. I understand that totally, 100%. How long did it take you to record the album? I mean, I imagine it's done. You said you're going to get the artwork done. How long did it take you from start to finish?
From recording to finished masters, I mean, it depends on how you mean how long. I think our first day in there was back May. Okay. But we did like 2 days here, 1 day here, 1 day there. So in terms of how many total days, I think it was like...
Well, I mean, overall, I don't mean down to the specifics. I mean, we're talking 6 months or...
No, I think we went in May. And we got it mastered. We just got the masters like a week or two ago.
I know it's obviously going to be out on Spotify and the streaming services. Do you guys actually put your stuff out on a hard copy, a CD or a vinyl record?
Yeah, we did CDs for the first record. We never did anything with singles, but this record we're going to do CDs and vinyls. We're not going to have vinyls ready by the time it comes out, unfortunately. Turnaround for that is a while, but this is the first sort of thing we've done where we're like, no, this needs to go on vinyl. When that day comes, it'll be announced, and I'm sure we'll have a show sort of kicking off the vinyl, our first vinyl thing. The record out this year, so that's why we just went with, you know, we could have waited, but we're like, let's get it out. It's been 5 years since we put a record out. We set the date before we even went in the studio, I think.
Now, you say the album's coming out in August. Are you going to have a specific record release party for it there at a local club?
Yep, we're going to play at Smalls in Hamtramck, and we're going to play with our friends Cherry Drop and Sonic Smut, a show for us. Both those bands. Cherry Drop's record just came out too, I believe.
Oh, man.
We're going to hold them up, guys.
That's going to be a hell of a night. I'm going to really try and make it out to that because, you guys are fantastic. And everything, like I said, that I've seen of you as far as live on YouTube, God, the energy is there. It takes me back to the 70s and 80s when bands just, knew how to come out and present. They don't just stand there. You guys are obviously into what you're doing. Is there any such thing anymore in your mind as far as promotion to a record label? Does that happen anymore? Do you guys try and sell or shop the stuff at all?
Not particularly. There was a period where we did, and we had talked to a couple of people, but it just either we weren't ready or they were asking for a lot of money, frankly. That whole business is so different now. I don't really say about it. We just kind of, maybe with this record we'll do a little bit more of that. Really the best way to do it is to just play the social media game these days.
Independent releases seem to be the norm nowadays.
I don't even know if you can just send a demo to a record label anymore. I've never heard of anyone doing that these days.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's done that way. They have to, some word of mouth, hear about you and maybe come out.
Well, some won't even consider you unless you already have 1 million followers. They won't even, the conversation's not even available to you yet.
True. There's very few that cut through, and you don't make any money off streaming these days at all. It's just a way of getting the music out to the public, obviously.
Yeah. We know what we're doing. We know what we signed up for. We make good money touring and playing live, so, we stick to that.
When you say touring, what does that mean specifically? You talking about just outside of Michigan or touring around Michigan, the club scene?
In 2023, we did a 2-week run. I believe we did something like 10 states in 14 days. We went Indiana, Louisville, West Virginia, North and South Carolina, Nashville and Chattanooga, Carbondale, Illinois, Fort Madison, Iowa, Dubuque, Iowa. We did a bunch.
Were you supporting someone else, or were you opening for somebody on this tour, or just...
No, we just wanted to go. We were ready to hit the road, and we hit up our friend. His name's Tom Jordan, in a band called 20 Watt Tombstone out of Wisconsin. He kind of served as our tour manager and booked, he has all these contacts and all these, because his 20 Watt Tombstone goes all over the place. They've been to Europe. He's got a lot of contacts, and he's been friends with us for, me and Jordan probably met him close to 10 years ago now. So he had no problem helping us out, getting that booked, and we just wanted to do it. We just decided we were ready. Before that, we'd do we'd go out to Wisconsin for a weekend, or we'd go over to Illinois or Ohio, or, we'd do these one-offs, and we still do. I think we're going back to Wisconsin in September. Or no, at the end of August, after the album comes out. I think we're going out there. Because we can't tour all the with day jobs, right? Sure. So we got to make them, we got to fit them in where we can.
What about radio? Is radio exist? I don't mean national radio. Have you guys gotten your stuff played at all on like internet radio or college radio, anything like that?
We done a few different things. Years ago, we did, the guy's name, I think it's Scott. He had an online radio thing out of Wayne State that we went and did back when we were a 3-piece. And then there was this online radio thing called Cave Radio out of Redford, maybe? And they hosted us a few times. Got us on the riff once. Or I don't know who got us on. Maybe Aaron did.
Okay.
Somebody. They do like their local hour on Sunday. And I remember sitting in my car. I think the song was What's So Funny, that was a protest sort of, or I wouldn't say it's a protest song, but it was a pro-protest song. Back when all the riots and stuff were going on during COVID. We got that one on the radio for their local hour. And me and Aaron were interviewed on Fox, and they played Road Song, I believe, off the first record.
That's very cool. Now, as far as playing locally, I mean, you mentioned Smalls. I'm sure you do all the East Side circuit as far as that. Do you play it all anywhere? You mentioned Downriver. You guys from Allen Park kind of area, the band base. Do you play anywhere on the west side as far as Road Rangers? You guys play at that place? Have you played there? The Token Lounge, anything on the west side?
we try to keep it local shows kind of not sparse, but we try to we hit the spots we know we're going to do well at to fund us being able to go further out, you know. We love playing local because we love seeing our friends, and our friends love seeing us, and, you know, we all go to local shows of our friends' bands. But eventually, if you've played locally 12 times in the last 6 months, well, everyone who wants to come see you has seen you, so that 13th show,
Sure.
no one's going to be there to see you. They've already seen you.
Yeah, don't oversaturate as far as that, yeah.
There used to be a place called Simon's After Dark that we'd go to. Me and Jordan went to Road Rangers once, but we didn't play. We just came and hung out.
Well, anyway, Tyler, I'm going to let you go. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I know you got it going here. Mention to me again, when and where is the record release party at again?
So it'll be August 15th at Smalls Bar in Hamtramck, and if you can't make the show, it'll be streaming on that date as well. So.
And where will it be streamed? On your Facebook page?
Oh, no, sorry, the show won't be streamed. It'll be on Spotify and all that.
Oh, okay.
So,
well,
August 15th.
Awesome. Well, anyway, man, I know you've got things to do and you got to get going, so I'll let you go. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Hey, now.
Believe in what they are saying. I take pride in knowing all sides, and still you can't sleep at night. We'll open your eyes, 'cause life ain't what it seems. You're living in a dream. So point your guns at me, deny it to yourself. I'm trying to be your wife. Stop crying, 'cause you are not dying, you're just dying. In love with humiliation, deceptive communication. You don't even know who you are. I think that you'll find your peace. It's just out of reach. But I ain't playing the game. You're caught up in the game. For even you are not lying to yourself. I'm trying to free your mind. Stop crying, 'cause you are not dying, you're just dying.
Chernoff from the band Edison Hollow. Anyway, these guys are an incredible young band. They have one album out, like I mentioned, that's on Spotify. It's self-titled. Check it out. It's very mature, solid rock thing. It's got a bit of prog to it. Maybe, and I don't mean prog like Floyd or King Crimson. It's just got little elements of that, at least in my mind. Maybe I'm losing it. I don't know. But it's definitely worth checking out. And like he said, they've got a new album coming out, obviously, and they're going to be playing that show at Smalls. If you get a chance to see these guys, hey, check them out on, YouTube, and you'll see how high energy they are, how talented they are. The maturity of the songwriting and the lyric blows me away that these young guys can come up with some of this stuff. A lot more so than I could at their age, so check them out. Hey, is that old stereo system of yours giving you the blues? Maybe the receiver has a blown channel or the turntable just doesn't work right. Well, then you should visit my friends at 7 Grand Audio Service. They've been in business for over 40 years. They're located at 25642 7 Mile Road in North Redford. The owner Dash and his assistant Harry can fix just about anything. Receivers, tape decks, turntables, EQs, power amps, and yes, guitar and bass amp. The phone number over there is 313-533-3635. They're open Mondays through Friday, 10 to 6. Check them out and tell them Jimmy sent you. Well, anyway, as I always like to say, keep rocking.